Hey everyone, it's Julia Chow. Welcome back to his channel. Today we're gonna do a breakdown of the good girl to the bad bitch transformation and how so many good girls try to become the bad bitch by trying all sorts of different things, but they remain the good girl. We're gonna do a little breakdown, and if you get threatened or triggered, just letting you know, I've done a ton of the things I'm going to list today myself until I finally decided to go for the real deal and become the bad bitch. So we're going to talk about just a few things. We're probably not going to cover everything because there's so many ways of coping to stay the good girl, but it feels like you're doing something. So if you've been working really hard and you're still the good girl, you know it deep inside, then this is the reason why, because you find different ways to cope and it's still coping. But then to become the bad bitch, it takes very particular types of action taking, mindset processing, and transforming yourself from inside, which will reflect on the external world. So we're gonna start first with fake boundaries, okay? So you say no, so you have a memory of saying no, but then your action says yes. So this is, for example, you tell yourself, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to let that person cross my boundaries. I'm not going to answer the phone call. I'm not going to answer the text. You say that, you say no in your head, but you actually go do it. You lie to yourself. So essentially, you don't keep the promise that you make to yourself. That keeps you the good girl. But in your own head, you feel like a bad bitch because you're thinking, I'm somebody who's got crazy boundaries and no bullshit allowed. Like, you have that attitude. You say that, but then you turn around and you give yourself away in your action. In the end, what you do in your action is what matters. And if your action says, go ahead, breach my boundaries, use my resources, take my energy, take my body, if you're in a romantic relationship situation, for not getting much in return, then that's where you end up. Or if you say, now I'm going to have strong boundaries of a mother, but if you are not able to keep that promise to yourself, you betray yourself. And the betrayal actually reinforces the good girl conditioning even more. This is the crazy part. You are trying to break out of it, but then it reinforces it even more. Now, the hamster wheel situation that you have with the good girl mindset is activism. Activism is huge. Look, there's so many ways that you can fight for somebody's rights when you don't even look after your own rights. There's veganism or vegetarianism or focusing on some area of conflict in the world, or racial justice or whatever injustice trauma that you haven't resolved, that you don't dare to resolve within yourself, with your family of origin, with your own upbringing. You direct all of that angst towards activism to help others. That activism keeps you the good girl. You're out there fighting, you're being really proactive. But in terms of what you do for yourself, zero. That is another attempt where you think you're doing something, but you're doing nothing for yourself. And how much of the activism actually makes a difference? Don't know. Oftentimes, good girls get into not-for-profit, or they will get into therapy or some kind of social work or something along the lines where you're helping people. Nothing wrong with those professions. But if you do not fill your cup, you end up extremely burnt out in the activism sector. It doesn't matter what you do for work, but if you're in the workplace and you're mothering other people, you get into a toxic culture and you're vouching for other people where you yourself are suffering, but you're so desensitized that you're not noticing that, that's also activism. That's a form of activism. These are the way you sabotage yourself. Now, what else is there? You can go to therapy or you get coaching a lot. You feel like you are doing something, right? And in terms of what you're doing, there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of the result, you're not getting what you want. Because endless talking, endless energy healing, endless subconscious programming, endless spiritual whatever you're doing, if you do not change your behaviors, your patterns, and if you do not have the courage to do different in your life in terms of your coping mechanisms, nothing changes in this area. However, if you keep going, if you keep attending therapy, if you keep seeking a better coach, or you look for a new modality or something like that, it feels like you are doing something. And that tricks your mind to thinking, hey, I'm the bad bitch. But you look at your life, you're depleted. You aren't getting what you want. Your goals, you don't even know what you want sometimes, but even when you set goals, you don't meet them. You're still the good girl. And the more you reinforce these types of behaviors, the more the good girlness becomes solidified. For sure, we already know that what you want is not this. It's this. It's becoming the bad bitch. So what is that? The bad bitch is a woman who gets what she wants. So what does that even mean? That means you need to have concrete goals in your career. You need to know what you want. You need to have something that you're living for, your life purpose. Okay? Are you doing that right now? Are you living that purpose right now in some way? If you're not doing that, if you don't know what that is, still the good girl, okay? Time to start focusing. It's very easy to look at what is the next step to be the bad bitch. All you have to do is just look at yourself and look at your surroundings. Look at your home. Look at your family. What's missing? What's hurting you? What's not working out for you? And all you have to do is focus in these areas. What about your finances? Are you happy with your finances? Well, most people will say no there because, there's always a next level, right? But in general, are you happy with the money you're making? Are you happy with how you're making your money? Because not all money is equal. Money is energy exchange. If you're doing something that you absolutely hate and you're getting paid, it really doesn't matter whether it's paying your bills, you're not going to be happy. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid handsomely, you're still not going to be happy. That fulfillment has to do with energetic transaction. So if you look at your finances and you're not happy, or if your finances are heavily depleted, it is a reflection of where you've been emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That is a clear reflection of your finances. Now, getting money is not the only thing. It's about sustenance and growth. I've known a lot of people who get a lot of money and then they're not able to sustain it and grow that because of the unresolved issues internally, of all the pains and the ego that comes forward that starts to sabotage. So if you know that you have the saboteur within you, that is the good girl. The bad bitch is abundant-minded. The bad bitch is able to think long term, and wherever you are right now, you will be feeling peace as the bad bitch. You'll be feeling peace, you'd have faith, and you'd have something to look forward to. Now look at your relationships, okay? Where are you with your relationships? I don't mean that you need to be in a relationship, but you need to have some types of connection. If you have children, they have to be your priority. As a parent, doesn't matter what gender you are, how is your relationship with your children? Are you sure that your children are not taking advantage of you? Doesn't matter how old they are, okay? Because people learn to manipulate very early on. Do that assessment. Is your relationship with your children based on addictions? That is also another question to ask, because that is not true connection. You're not really getting to know them. That is what the good girl does. The good girl just wants to make her kids feel better. So she just gives them things that's going to make them feel better. She doesn't actually discipline, have accountability, establish connection, and grow through the difficult situations, and even having fun and having playfulness. Now, next thing, the good girl is a workaholic. She's always working and doing something and figuring it out and just, it's constantly on the go. The bad bitch has leisure, okay? So I had a client one time who told me, she was in her 50s and very high up in healthcare, and told me, hey, Julia, after I had a conversation with you, I had to go Google what a hobby means. What is a hobby? If you don't have a hobby as an adult, you're not living. You need to know what outside of work and obligations, it's something that makes you happy, whatever that means. Crafts, arts, nature, gardening, it doesn't matter what it is. For me, it's dance. It's always been. All of my adult life, I started in my late teens. I got myself to do that. That was the first initiation to the bad bitch journey. I was nowhere near being the bad bitch in all these other areas, but it got me started with looking at myself and evaluating myself as, who am I? That's why when you guys watch my TikTok or Instagram reels, I have a lot of dance videos, and it's not that I want to do it professionally. It's what gives me a lot of joy. So sometimes I'll use dance to tell stories. It's just a way of expressing. If you do not have a way to express yourself, you need to find that ASAP. Essentially, the difference between the good girl and the bad bitch is that the good girl has an oppressed mindset and the bad bitch is liberated in her mindset. And that's where the creation process begins. As a good girl, when you're oppressed, you do. You do and do and do. You follow instructions. You do what is expected of you. And the rules are set. It's patriarchy. It's your boss. It's your husband. It's your friends. Whatever your family wants from you. Whatever your kids want from you. You serve. You're the servant, basically. That's an oppressed mindset. And even though it's say that you're the breadwinner, you can have an oppressed mindset and give away everything that you've created. Everything that you've earned goes to someone else and in someone else's control. That is the essence of a good girl, the oppressed. Now, the bad bitch is liberated. The bad bitch also wants a good girl because most of us come from some level of oppression. If you're a woman, if you're a minority, if you belong in the LGBTQ plus community or whatever minority community, you are going to have an oppressed mindset to some level. It doesn't matter what income level or what status your family is. You're going to have an oppressed mindset to some level. To some level. The liberation process is what makes you the bad bitch. Okay? So what do liberated people do? They create. They take time. They have leisure. They have joy. They have play. And these are all the things that the good girl is missing that bad bitch does. And from that place, when you're in that experience, that increases your frequency to an abundant mindset. The good girl is oppressed, so she's in a scarcity depletion mode all the time. Nothing is ever enough. She's never enough. She doesn't have enough to get started. It's never a good time. This is the kind of mindset that good girl has. Okay? Or the perfectionism. It's not good enough to put it out there. It's not good enough for me to speak up. I don't have enough. I'm not ready. That is the good girl mindset. The bad bitch is liberated. She goes, I have what I have. Let me see what I can do with this. Let me be resourceful. Let me create and see and how I can get better. She has a beginner's mindset and she has a growth mindset. And that is a result of an abundant embodiment. A liberated person is expressive, is communicative, it connects with others. Okay? That is all high frequency. That's all high frequency. And is very committed to self and goals and what matters to her. Okay? So a legacy, like your children or whatever cause you care about. But first, you gotta look after yourself. The good girl gives herself away and focuses on activism. The bad bitch looks after herself first. She must fill her cup first. And from there, she sees, these are the things I care about. That if I invest my time, energy, money, resources, it will give me much more happiness and abundance. Growth. She uses that exponential power of growth. Investing in the right relationships, the right people, and also growing her money, growing her business in a way that's sustainable, that's going to continue to grow. That creates the high frequency. And because all of that exponentially builds, her life just gets better and better. And do bad things happen? Absolutely. You cannot have a problem-free life. It's not possible to have a problem-free life. If you have a big life, and oftentimes bad bitches, they have a big life, okay? They're gonna have big lives because they're out there doing so much. They're creating, out there creating, always. So when you have that, you're going to have problems. You're going to run into unhappy customers. You're going to run into unhappy boss or colleagues. You're going to run into issues with interpersonal situations. You're going to run into a project not going quite well. There's a lot of moving parts. Yes. The good girl, she's already in depletion mode. Give up. Forget it. It's not working. The bad bitch, let me figure this out. Let me resource up. Where's the silver lining? Growth mindset. Now, the difference between the good girl and the bad bitch, sometimes people will look at it in terms of results output. And that is not the best way to look at it. Because sometimes the bad bitch is working on the foundation. And when you're working on the foundation, you may not have financial results right away. But you're working on the foundation. So first of all, your sense of self, your immediate family, if you're the boss, if you're the leader. I'm the matriarch of my family. If my children are not well, none of the big goals and things like that, I can make it happen. Okay? Looking after the foundation. So the foundation is yourself first, and then the immediate, your family. Okay? And then you have to look at, you go from the circle, the tightest circle to your family, inner circle, right? So if you do not have the foundation well, like something's going on in your family, then the bad bitch is wise enough to take a pause and work on the foundation. So what happens, like the good girl sometimes wants to speed up. Oh, I found a money hack or something like that. Okay, I can get to the next promotion as quick as possible. Something like that. Doesn't build a foundation, doesn't build her sense of self, doesn't look into her marriage to see, is this actually working out? How is my kid being parented? She doesn't realize that she's tuning out. And then she just shoots for something like money or whatever, or a romantic relationship, not looking at her sense of self, building herself up. And then she rushes as if this is like some kind of race, you know? So it's like somebody who doesn't even do warm up or doesn't train and then goes straight for, I don't know, doing the splits or running a marathon without any training. That's how the good girl operates, because she cares about the approval of the result. Okay? She rushes. She's always rushing. She can't ever rest. Her mind can never rest because she's rushing for the next constantly. Okay? Without foundation, complete crumbling. That may last for a little bit, but complete crumbling without the foundation. The bad bitch understands that. This is wisdom. If you didn't ever think about this, then you must start thinking from this mindset. Because last thing you want is to build something for a couple of years and then have that completely cave in. And you struggle. I've seen this many times. If you read Bad Bitch on Top, I have stories of scarcity mindset and how somebody became a millionaire and it got down to zero and still didn't learn the lesson and was scrambling to just get revenue in. When the whole foundation, her mindset, she had no leadership skills, she didn't have very good money skills, didn't have very good business acumen. None of those things were considered. Her family life was a mess. Her marriage was not good. She had no self-awareness. Anybody with tiniest bit of understanding in relationship would be able to tell her, hey, this is a very codependent relationship, very unhealthy. You're taking all the responsibilities, the mothering, the raising, the business, everything. Had no insight. That person crumbled again. Okay, that is the good girl sick cycle. It is a sick cycle because it makes you sick. The bad bitch looks into the foundation. If you cannot build a building on a weak foundation. If your sense of self and you're not well, if your habits are sabotagey, if you are you're disregarding what makes you happy in terms of your health, your happiness, your hobbies, who you are as a person, developing yourself as a person, and then your family, if you have children, if you have a relationship, that also counts. If you have a long-term relationship, if you do not take care of those areas, if you don't take care of your health and fitness, all of those areas, that is the foundation, you will crumble. I've seen this too many times. And that's why the good girl constantly works and she feels like her life isn't building. She feels like she's always starting over. That is what you're gonna fix, okay? What were the insights that you got from this? This is the primary difference between the good girl and the bad bitch, and I would love to see you become the bad bitch. Comment down below. Let me know what's going on in your life. What did you take away from here that was amazing, that's so helpful for you? If you haven't yet picked up a copy of my book, Bad Bitch on Top, Conquer Your Good Girl Identity to Dominate Your Life and Career, then do so, because it is an amazing book and people are loving it. Join our free community because we have meet and greets in there. We have workshops. You don't want to miss this, because how much longer are you going to wait? Because the good girl is a waiter. That's the other thing. Don't wait anymore. If you want to be the bad bitch, you got to change your habits to become the bad bitch. Stop being a waiter. Be a proactive initiator and start focusing on building a strong foundation and building an empire. Thank you so much for watching. It's Julia Cha, and see you in my next video.